Your 20s literally create the base for your 30s and for the rest of your life, and you need to use them wisely. And I'm gonna share with you 10 lessons today that completely changed my life in my 20s, and I wish I knew them before. Hello, it is Marta. Welcome you guys back to my podcast and the same to my YouTube channel today. If you're new here, please make sure to subscribe. It's all about confidence, manifestation, and become the best version of yourself and creating the life of your dreams. So you guys gonna get lots of value. Let's dig into it straight away because I'm so excited to share with you all of those lessons today. The first lesson from my 20s is definitely to take risks because you guys, your 20s is this age that everything can be a little bit messy. Okay, everything can be a little bit chaotic and it's completely and absolutely fine because this is the age when you're figuring your life out. First, your early 20s is all about like your education, most likely your college, university, whatever it is. Then you're jumping into the world of your career and then you're building up from there. But this is the beauty of your 20s because you can pivot, you can change however many times you want. I did quit my corporate job twice during my 20s and I've been actually doing full-time self-employed kind of career twice. And it was the best decision of my life because it shows me what's really my craving, what I really love, what's the best actually kind of ways of working for me, being my own boss, doing my own things. Your 20s can be messy. You can make those two-door decisions. You know what it means? Those are those kind of decisions that Jeff Bezos would say, if you make this decision, you can kind of go back. However, there is also a second type of decisions, and this is less calculated risk or calculated, but definitely with a little bit harder consequences when you make certain decision and you can't go back. If you have a good career, if you work in certain good company, you definitely can always quit, try something else, try something new, do your own business, or you can even move to Bali and do the freaking being waiter there or yoga teacher or whatever else for a month or two or five. I've been doing it as well in my 20s. I've been au pair, I was living abroad, I would be like during or between of my jobs, just doing completely different things. And I remember in time it felt so hard sometimes. I would feel like I'm doing so things like below my competency as au pair. I'd be working in cinema. I would literally be like cleaning trashes in cinema sometimes, or I would work in Zara and gastronomy. Like I literally work wherever you can think of. I would probably do it in my 20s because that's this age that you just look for part-time jobs. You're during your studies, then you start your career. But if you, for example, move abroad, it comes with certain costs. And sometimes, yes, you have to go a little bit backwards to take next two steps forward. And here we go to the second lesson, which is actually moving abroad itself. Because your 20s are all about this beautiful self-discovery journey, and nothing gives you more self-discovery and confidence and understanding who you are than living abroad and moving abroad, especially by yourself. Do it at least once. I've done it twice, and I think it's absolutely freaking amazing. And now in my early 30s, and I would absolutely do it again. But in your 20s, there is just something about this age that your brain is still so open to learn and understand different cultures, different approaches, different lifestyle. If you do it in your 20s, it's most likely gonna benefit you the most. And then it's easier to make more of those decisions when you follow up in your 30s or 40s or whenever, because you already know it's possible. You've already done it. You've built your life in another country. Then like nothing kind of gonna scare you because you knew you made it from zero somewhere. It can be Erasmus, it can be university exchange, but I would say the best thing ever with moving abroad is literally moving abroad kind of permanently. And again, you can always go back. If you don't like it, speak with your parents. Can you in case come back to their house, or any of your friends, anyone who you can kind of like count on. So just really, really in case you have this plan B. But to be really honest, you don't have to have plan B in terms of like having tons of savings, or you have to have already figured out fully your career. When I was moving abroad, I actually didn't have anything figured out. I had savings for maybe 1 month to survive. I didn't have my career. I was very young in my career, so nothing was like a strong brand on LinkedIn or anything as it is right now. And yeah, I was just going for things, and I was just like doing shit that I had to do to make it. So I'd do those part-time jobs I hated. I would like sometimes live extremely far from the city where I wanted to live just to make it. Because in your 20s, you have to a little bit sacrifice sometimes this glamorous comfort for a little bit different things, because this is exactly what's gonna make you, after all, successful, resilient, and determined to always achieve your goals. Because guess what? Discomfort is not scared for you anymore. And here is the lesson third, which is self-love and self-obsession. There is nothing better than literally get self-obsessed with yourself in your 20s. You literally have to start loving yourself as much as world depends on it. Because guess what, you guys? You can only love others as much as you love yourself. And I'm always saying that because I realized it in my very late 20s and I didn't know it before. I always thought we have to be humble. We have to love ourselves, but we kind of have to love others more and speak more highly about others than we speak about ourselves. And don't get me wrong, it's not about arrogancy or being extremely supreme in the way of like, oh, I'm kind of better than someone. Like, that's absolutely ugly energy. You are only as beautiful as your energy, so you definitely want to have pure soul and just be a nice person for yourself and for others. But this is the thing, you can be nice to others if you're not good to yourself. You need to love yourself. You need to literally fall in love with who you are, physically, mentally, in your soul, spiritually. You really need to do it. And here is the lesson number 4, literally coming from the self-love one. Heal your shit. And like, seriously, heal your shit. Do whatever it takes to break those patterns that maybe your family had. Maybe there were things you were still kind of like blaming your parents a little bit or explaining the way you are because of your family or because of certain experiences. Start thinking forward, not background. The more you're gonna think about the past, the more you're gonna think about why you're a certain way and kind of make excuses not to go for life of your dreams, not to behave the way you really want, the more you're gonna be stuck, the more you're never gonna live your dream life. That's why you need to heal those things first, to finally stop blaming others, stop blaming circumstances or universe or family, and take full responsibility and accountability, because obviously nothing that happened to you is your fault, but also it's your responsibility to change your life right now. You know, why people always say it's not the person who goes to therapy who's the one who's actually needs it, but you are the smart one who is actually choosing to change something in this reality. And it can be therapy, it can be breath work, it can be starting your spiritual journey with manifestation, meditation, journaling, yoga, or whatever it is. I definitely highly recommend just like traditional therapy combined with after that breath work. But again, whatever works for you, gonna work for you. It's just about making decision and this brave step of going for this therapy. Next lesson number 5 gonna be to build your dream routine of the life that you really crave and the life you really want to live. You know, it's how lives like billionaire habits work. Basically everything you're doing every single day after you wake up or before you go to sleep and how you spend your day. Literally, if someone can see your day, is gonna tell you if you're gonna be successful or not. And obviously most of us want just to be happy, but here you are listening to this podcast because you have some bigger calling. Clearly, there is something more to it. It's not just about going through your day and doing your job and being like, okay, I'm done and just go through my day. No, it's about building something bigger and meaningful and amazing and becoming version of yourself who you're obsessed with, as I already said, and building your habits, the way, building your routine that your future self gonna thank you for is one of the best thing ever you can do. But I can tell you guys, this routine gonna change million times during your 20s, and that's absolutely okay. My routine in my early 20s was absolutely 180% different from what I'm living right now, that I'm, early bird, I don't drink alcohol, I don't eat sugar, I'm just like doing my yoga, Pilates, and all of those Pinterest vision board kind of things, because that's what I always wanted. So I finally decided that's the life I want and that's the right I'm gonna pursue. But in my early 20s, and I also think early 20s especially are for lots of fun, and I don't think there is nothing wrong to have a little bit cocktail here and there and a little bit of losing it up. That's fine. You don't have to obsess yourself also with discipline immediately, but it's all about understanding what life you want ultimately. So at least in your later 20s, you're like, okay, you are building habits that lead you to the version of yourself who you truly want to become, and then you are already. For me, even in my early 20s, when I was like having this a little bit more partying, funny like kind of lifestyle, I would still have so many habits that then in my life I would look back to and I would be like, oh my God, I'm so extremely grateful. I even remember, to give you an example, when I moved to Spain in my early 20s with one-way ticket, and I was taking so many risks. I didn't literally give an F. I would do like whatever to follow my dreams. And I would have those daily habits of like every single day taking the best out of life, the most, have this energy, have this hunger to just do things and meet people and do what locals do if it comes to Spain, for example. And this is the habit I always look back for myself. And, being your own inspiration is the biggest flex. That's why it doesn't matter if you're in your completely, let's say, sound and, clean eating kind of era, or if you're in your a little bit more party and crazy era, everything is fine, because in every single stage of your life, there is something amazing and beautiful about it, and something that not even only others can learn from, but even you later on can look back and be like, oh, yes, she did it right. Next lesson, and it's gonna be sixth one, it's gonna definitely be to invest in yourself. Like, your life, again, depends on it, because you are your biggest asset. You are your biggest investment. So if you're thinking about investing in stocks or crypto or whatever, which is also an amazing idea, and you should definitely go for it. But here it's not about financial advices, and I'm definitely nobody in here to give you financial advices. But my point is only here to tell you that the best investment is always to invest in yourself, your workouts, even the way you look, the way you feel, like whatever it is. Find your mentors, find your coaches, find someone who gonna guide you. It's not always even investment in terms of like financial investment. Sometimes it's investing your time into learning something, into understanding yourself, into building, again, kind of habits, kind of lifestyle that's just pushing you closer and closer to your dream version of yourself. I did invest in lots of kind of coaches, especially in my late 20s, and especially when I was doing my business full time, and those were one of the best decisions ever. They definitely scared the shit out of me, but I would never bring them back as well, because they only moved me forward with all of my growth and development. Next lesson will be definitely create more than consume. And it's not only about social media, because I know not everyone craves to be like, social media person and do your little YouTubes or TikToks or whatever. But my point in here is, if you put your mindset on creating more than you consume, this mindset gonna lead you the long run. Because whenever you're gonna feel like you're just gonna scroll your social media apps, or you're just gonna watch some Netflix, you always gonna choose instead of it something really meaningful for you, something you're gonna learn to. And it's not only about like learning certain skills or education, it's also learning in terms of like mindfulness. So you're gonna always create more. Maybe you're artist, maybe you're something who love art. Creating versus consume is one of the things that literally changed my life in my 20s, because in my early 20s I would be this person who always slept till like 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. I actually thought it's impossible to change your routine in a way of like waking up early, which I have one of my very first episode of this podcast about. But the thing is, I learned that it's not actually about consuming, that I don't have to scroll social media. It's not something I need to do. I don't have to follow even my friends. I mean, it's not about following that I like unfollow them from social media, but most of people I know, I don't literally watch what they are doing online, because I'm not interested in their personal life details. I'm only consuming things that are close to what I want to be, who I want to become, the lifestyle I crave. And this is the way of as well manifestation, but also learning that you are the one who is kind of director of your life. And it's like the way you choose your diet, you're gonna as well choose what you consume online, what you're gonna read, what you're gonna watch, who you're gonna listen to. It's all making who you are. Lesson number 8, and this is one of my favorite ones: make freaking mistakes, because your 20s are supposed to be messy. They are supposed to be a little bit of fun, a little bit of chaotic, a little bit things not figured out. But the thing is, whenever you make any kind of mistake, obviously not by decision of doing things that are stupid just for the plot, but whenever you even make little tiny mistake and if you look back and you're like, what the hell did I do? Stop blaming yourself. This is one of the things that's gonna change your life. If you're gonna learn in your early 20s to love yourself even more after every single mistake you've done, you're gonna make way better decisions in your life, because you stop being this bad parent punishing yourself for whatever decisions you've made. You start understanding that maybe this version of yourself did the best choice they had to make with the resources they had, with the situation, circumstances, maybe level of stress or whatever it was that they were doing. You are still learning certain things. We are experiencing during all our lives. And the easier it's gonna become for us to forgive ourselves, the easier it's gonna become to move forward our life and take lessons from there rather than shame. Shame is extremely low frequency energy, and trust me, you don't want it in your life at all. Lesson number 9 will be definitely to find your style and identity. And I feel like this is such a fun lesson because it's not that serious. Of course, it's about your identity, but your identity is kind of something you build all of your life. And of course, the more you understand who you want to be, the faster you can build this identity, even in your 20s or before or very early after. But my point is, you can in your 20s definitely find your style. You can understand if you're this version of yourself who is always, kind of late, or who's kind of always messy in the way of like the way you look, the way you show up, the way you speak. Or if you're this version of yourself who is kind of like, elegant, the posture is always clocking, the outfit is always cute and clean. And it's not about like only your looks being the most important. It's rather people will always see you first before they're gonna get to know you. So if you're dreaming about certain career, or if you are manifesting certain lifestyle, why wouldn't you already look like the version of yourself who is there? Lesson number 10, and I think it's one of the most important lessons I ever learned during my 20s, is to set boundaries. Is to really set boundaries and be able to say no, to understand when to cut off people, but also to make peace with it and understand that some people were just meant to be chapters in your life, not the whole book. And this is okay. And you don't have to hate someone you're not friends with anymore, or you don't have to hate on your ex and plan the revenge. Sometimes you just need to move on. And I would say actually 99 or 100% of the time you should just move on, because you don't want to waste your energy on people who are not meant for you. You don't want to waste your energy on situations that doesn't serve you. I said 99% because sometimes there are those little situations when you really make to, you need this closure, let's say. You need to speak your emotions. You need to speak your truth. And this is okay. I would never advise you to not listen to your emotions, because your emotions, this truth that you never said, is actually staying somewhere there in your body, and it's working really bad for your mental and physical health. So you don't want it. You want to speak your truth, you want to set boundaries, but also you need to know where to simply live. Certain places, situation, even jobs. Your 20s are when you're starting building your life, basically, when you're creating this version of yourself who you want to become. And you don't need to waste your 20s on people, situations, and experiences that doesn't deserve you at all. So you guys, that's it. Thank you so much for catching up. It was such a pleasure to share with you those 10 lessons. I will definitely make the part 2, because those are just first lessons that I had on my mind, kind of most important ones, I would say, and my personal experience. And guys, please remember to subscribe, follow for more, and I see you in the next one. Bye!